ever been told that comparison is bad or wrong? Hi there, I am Sherri Arndt with a Christian Working Woman, and today we're talking about what really matters, letting go of negative comparison. Now, we all know how easy it is to look around and compare ourselves to others. Let me give you an example. Imagine I see a friend wearing these beautiful, expensive shoes. I love them, and I suddenly decide that I too must have a pair just so I can look as good. But here's the problem. I don't need another pair of shoes, and they are completely out of my budget. Still, I don't want to feel less than, so what do? I buy them. And that's where comparison becomes a trap. But it's important to pause here and let's recognize that not all comparison is bad. In fact, sometimes it helps us. Comparison can show us what's right and what's wrong, what is holy and what isn't. It can help us see the gap between who we are and who God is, and show us our need for His grace and salvation. So maybe the goal isn't to eliminate comparison altogether, but instead to learn how to compare the right way. When we compare well, we can grow. So let's say I see a coworker remain calm and kind in a heated meeting. I notice it, and it stirs something in me, a desire to do the same. So I pray, I seek wisdom, and I ask God to help me to become a woman who stays grounded in grace when tensions arise. That's healthy comparison. That's growth. But unfortunately, that's not always where comparison takes us. Sometimes it opens the door to jealousy or bitterness. I could just as easily look at that same coworker and get annoyed that people are praising her and start gossiping about how she lets people walk all over her. That's not growth. That is sin creeping in. And in our world of social media, the danger grows. We're not just comparing ourselves to real life people and situations. We're comparing ourselves to carefully curated highlight reels. What we're seeing may just be a split second of reality or completely staged. Yet, we still let it shape our thoughts, our self-worth, and our decisions. That's why I love what Proverbs 4:25-27 says. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths of your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or to the left, but keep your foot from evil. This is such a clear and helpful picture. Scripture tells us to look straight ahead, to keep our eyes fixed. And as believers, that means keeping our eyes on Jesus. It reminds me of Peter when he walked on water. As long as he looked at Jesus, he stayed above the waves. But the moment that he started looking around at the wind and at the waves, he panicked and he sank. And that's what happens when we let comparison distract us. We stop looking at Christ and we start sinking into insecurity, resentment, or fear. But when we compare ourselves to God's character, when we look at Jesus and His Word, it pulls us closer to Him. It humbles us, it transforms us, and it strengthens us. That same passage in Proverbs reminds us to stay on our path. Verse 26 says, give careful thought to the paths of your feet. Be steadfast in all of your ways. That means staying faithful to what God has called you to do. It's not about following what everyone else is doing. It's about following Jesus and walking in obedience. In verse 27, it says, don't turn to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. That's called discipline. A reminder to guard our hearts and fix our eyes on the one who helps us to stay steady. When used correctly, comparison can inspire us to grow in godliness, and when misused, it can pull us far from God's best. Colossians 4:17 says, tell Archippus, see to it that you complete the ministry that you have received in the Lord. That's our charge too. So let's stay focused on the calling that God has placed on each of our lives. And let's not go into comparison, real, imagined, online, or in person. Let's not distract us from completing the work that He has given us to do. Because keeping our eyes on Jesus and walking faithfully in our calling, that's what really matters.